Fuck your feelings, they don't care, the work just needs doing. Nut up and shut up and get the job done. Welcome back to another episode of the Be Better podcast. I'm your host, Harrison Orr. I'm an online men's health, stress, sleep, and performance coach. I help dads go from tired, stress, and overwhelm to performing their best, being present with their families, and just dominating life. I want to talk about energy today. Often I talk about energy in the sense of physical energy, the energy to get the job done, the energy to go and smash that workout, to show up to your kids and to your partner when you get home from a long day, to be able to put energy and time into yourself, into your marriage, into all that stuff. But today, I've got a different type of energy I want to talk about. And this is something that has been evident in my life in the last few weeks. And I often don't like to talk about things that I haven't experienced personally or have enough knowledge on to be able to convey that to other people. So that's why I feel it's important to talk about this, because normally I wouldn't talk about things of this nature. Like, I've always been of the military-like disciplined mindset of your feelings don't matter, shut the fuck up, go and do the work. The work doesn't care how you feel, it just needs doing. And I feel like I will always have that at least a glimmer of that mentality in my mind when it comes to work and getting stuff done. But what I've realized recently is, and this was pointed out to me by a mentor, I didn't come up with this perspective on my own, was that how you show up to do a task massively matters. Because if you're showing up to do something that, I guess, and it doesn't matter so much in terms of like a physical thing, like, if you're showing up to, like, you're a tradie, you're showing up to get something done, does it matter if you're grumpy or does it matter if you're over the moon? As long as you get the job done, not really. But there's other things in life, a lot of things that I'm doing at the moment when it comes to conversations, to content, to, I guess, to marketing, to communicating with people, that energy, right? And when you're communicating with people, not necessarily one-to-one, not necessarily face-to-face, how you communicate is not always in the words, right? Like, if you've listened to Jordan Belfort or, people in the sales and marketing space, or, much about like human behavior, psychology, things like that, you'll be familiar with, body language and tonality, and how the words that we say or the words that we read are only part of the story. We always pick up on that energy, on that body language, on other elements of the story that piece it together. And so even though, regardless of what mood you're in, you can say the right words when you're having a conversation with someone, when you're trying to communicate with someone, like, you can say the right words. But as humans, as a safety mechanism, we have this bullshit meter that kind of reads out of, I feel like this person's trying to deceive me. This person seems a little bit shady. There's something not truthful about what they're saying, or there's a lack of congruency with what they're saying, with their body language, with how they're saying it, their tonality, with the look of this person as well. And our bullshit meter goes through the roof. And so when you're trying to communicate with people and your actions, your energy don't align with that, your message falls on deaf ears, I should say. And so not only that, but you get stressed out in the process. Because if we're showing up, and this is what I noticed anyway, when I'm showing up from a place of, I need to get this done, shut up, your feelings don't matter, don't be a bitch, just get it freaking done, then there's that element of frustration, of stress, of desperation, of scarcity as well, like those lower vibrational emotions. And then when you're showing up like that, it feels completely different to if you're showing up of, how can I best help this person? How can I best convey my emotions, my message, my information? How can I best help this person? And also from a place of congruency as well. And what's been pointed out to me is when I'm talking, I guess, when I'm talking knowledge or scripted, not necessarily scripted, but when I'm talking from a place of, I guess, I'm not in flow, essentially. I'm talking from my head. and this may not make sense to some of you, but I hope some of you get this. When I'm talking from my head, like being very logical in when I'm talking. And I'm sure you've all heard someone that talks very logical. Like they're much more monotone in the way that they talk. There's not a whole lot of emotion to them or body language. And it sounds very like throaty in terms of how they talk, because they're talking like this and there's not a lot of going on, and they're just reciting the words that they've heard and the words that they've read. And it's just very boring to listen to, no matter how valuable the content they're saying is, right? Imagine if I spoke like that the entire fucking time. After 10 seconds, you'd be like, my God, you are boring. Shut up. But when I talk about things that I know on a much deeper level, things that I feel, things that I guess come naturally to me, and I maybe even have a perspective on and experience with, things like that, we talk a little bit more, corny as it might sound, I guess, from the heart. Like we talk more with our body language. There's more highs and lows, pauses, speed ups in the message, in the way that we talk. So it's a lot more engaging. Like naturally we want to listen to someone like that. And so that also comes down to that energy piece as well. And so what I found is it's really hard to express from the heart, from that place, when I'm stressed, when I'm frustrated, when things aren't going right, when I'm coming from something needing an outcome. Like I need to get this specific outcome from this thing, otherwise the world's going to end, otherwise I'm a failure, otherwise I'm no good, otherwise fill in the blank. It's a very different experience to when you show up to, what energy do I need, what state do I need to be in to give this my best, to be able to talk from the heart, to be able to communicate, to be able to listen as well with curiosity, to, I guess, show up as the best version of myself, as corny as that sounds, but to give myself and whoever I'm communicating with the best chance of like an ideal outcome. And just that shift alone has massively reduced my stress. Massively brought I wouldn't say expectations down, but forced expectations, right? Like it's good to have, the desired outcome in mind of like what we're wanting to achieve by doing something. But when there's outcomes in life that we can't always directly control, then we often set ourselves up for failure, for frustration, because there's certain things in life that we cannot directly control, but we can control the inputs that go towards that outcome. So an example might be fat loss, for example. Like you cannot directly control the burning of the shedding of your fat, right? You cannot sit there and directly burn fat. You can't get a lighter and burn it off your body. But you can control how much you eat. You can control how much you move. You can control how well, your sleep patterns, your daily habits. Like you can control those things, which collectively amount to your body then burning that fat. And so when it comes to business, we can't directly control people buying our service or buying our product or engaging with us or leaving us a review, sharing us, anything like that. But we can control the inputs that go into that, like providing value, like the emails or the social media content or reaching out, having conversations with people, like doing these kind of things. Those are within our control. And so I found when I bring back those layers of what state do I need to be in to be able to serve these people the best, to be able to show up in a way that I can do this one task as best as I can and not worry about so much the output. Like the output will take care of itself, provided I do this one thing as best as I can. And so that has been a massive shift for me recently. Like, as I said, my stress has gone down. The way that I show up has been massively different. Just my mindset has felt a lot clearer about things. And I don't want to go too much into the spiritual hippy dippy kind of side that most people kind of like blanket this stuff as, in terms of like, law of attraction and things like that, because I believe in it, but I don't fully understand it, I guess, enough to talk about it anyway. But I've noticed when I let go of those frustrations, I let go of those expectations, and so desperately trying to bring things towards me, I just almost surrender to the universe, to these things, as funny as that might sound, that things have started to come back to me. Like when you start to put that energy out, you start to, I guess, give first and allow whatever's right to come back, then things start to shift. I've had opportunities just happen in the last just over a week that I could not have controlled. That people were coming to me for endorsements, for coaching, for things like that. That even though beforehand, when I was trying my best and grinding through, running ads, like sending emails, making content, like doing all these things, but from a place of frustration and of scarcity and all these things, that it just wasn't happening. But now I've let go of that. I've shown up with a different energy, and these things have started to come back. And that might be purely coincidence. I don't really know, but I can only tell you what my experience has been over the last few weeks. And so what I wanted to convey in this podcast, in this episode, was that if you're feeling stressed and you're feeling frustrated, does that serve you? Does that emotion that you're experiencing right now serve you in the outcome that you're trying to do, in the action that you're trying to take? And it might at some point, like depending on your stage in life. Like if you're feeling frustrated and that frustration in the position that you're in life is enough to drive you to make a change, to work harder, either on yourself or on your business or in your career, to make money, to get healthier, to whatever your goal is, then by all means, utilize that frustration to take action, to go forth. But also recognize if that is then seeping out of you and limiting your ability to receive things when they come your way, but then also your ability to execute that task. And it may not seem like it at the time, but when you reflect on things, and this is one of the greatest good things about, I guess, making content, is I can look back on my videos, on my podcast from some of those times and literally see my own body language, see and hear the way that I'm talking and conveying my message. And one of the things that was pointed out to me is I talk very freaking fast unless I'm conscious about it. And so in some of those ads and those pieces of content, I'm trying to convey as much as I can into this 90-second little video, and it's just falling on deaf ears because it's not engaging, it's not easy to listen to, and I seem stressed. I'm trying to tell people or like convey a message of like, hey, we've got this thing that's helped a lot of people to de-stress, to look after their nervous system, to sleep better. And I'm going, no, you need to fix this and you need to do that. And they're like, whoa, dude, I feel stressed out just from listening to you. Which is quite funny because of, I guess, the obvious. So if you have a way to be able to self-reflect on your energy, on how you're showing up, I highly recommend you utilize that tool. Because then if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling this overwhelm, this anxiety, this stress over things that aren't directly in your control, or if you're feeling that and it's actually not serving you, it might be worth asking yourself, what is the state that I need to be in to execute this? What is the state that is going to best help me execute this task and feel good about, or at least being able to action it to its highest standard? Like, you don't always have to love the task that you're doing, because let's be real, there's days that you wake up and you're just not feeling it and life happens. But the majority of the time, how can you show up in the state needed? A good example of this is, especially if you're a parent, if you've had a stressful day, if you've had a poor night's sleep and your child is crying or screaming or upset for some reason, and you attend to them with that frustration, with that anger, with that short fuse, with that, what do you want? Why won't you shut the fuck up? Like, you're frustrated already, and you bring that energy to that child who's already screaming, crying, upset over something. How likely do you think they are to then calm down, to then be able to relax, to chill out, to trust in you? Probably not very. they're going to see you, they're going to see us frustrated and angry, and especially little ones. Oh, that's how we handle our emotions. We yell, we get frustrated, maybe we slam things or we do whatever. Oh, okay, cool. That's how we do this. And then they start to exhibit those traits as they get older and they have more emotions and they start expressing themselves. But if you can ask yourself before you go into that situation, despite feeling stressed, frustrated, overwhelmed, whatever you're like, okay, what state do I need to be in to deal with this issue? What state do I need to be in to handle this crying child, this upset child, so that they can learn how to regulate their emotions best, so that they can calm down and stop crying in a timely fashion so I can best help them? Like, what is the tool for the job right now? And I can guarantee you that stressed out, frustrated, angry, irritable mum or dad is not the state that is going to best serve them. It might be patience. It might be calm. It might be tolerance. And so when you can show up with that state, your chance of getting the desired outcome of calming your child, getting them to stop crying, soothing them, looking after them, attending to them, all those things, gives you a much higher likelihood of success. And so then when we carry that same approach into everything else, it's like, what tool do I need for this job? It's like, you wouldn't try and cut a steak with a spoon, so you change it out. But you'd use the spoon if you were trying to, I don't know, eat custard. I don't know why that came to mind, but if you're trying to eat something else that you needed a spoon with, right? So each emotion has a purpose, has a tool. We're not trying to suppress or banish them, but is it the right tool for the job? And that questioning, that implementation has been huge for, as I said, my stress levels, the way that I action things, and things are starting to come back in that space, which then, I guess, reaffirms that is a better approach, that's right. And then you'll get that feedback very quickly when you handle your child, or when you handle other people as well, when you show up at that different state. And especially if it's maybe a partner or an adult, and they expect you to show up frustrated, angry, getting losing your shit, and you show up cool, calm, collected. No worries, no, that's not an issue. Okay, cool. What can we do about it? Okay, I'm sorry I did this. Let's do this. Let's work through it. You're very calm, very level-headed, and they go into it ready for a fight, and they're like, "Whoa, that's not the conversation I anticipated." Like, not from a bad level of surprise, but like a good thing of, "Wow, that was different. That was unexpected." And so you're the one then leading that change. And so I'll wrap it up there. I hope that has been helpful. If you're in that, you find yourself reacting in that space of frustration, stress, anger, overwhelm, going into your day, going into certain situations or conversations, ask yourself, what state do I need to be in to get my most desired outcome out of this? And when you can ask yourself and change your state and go into that, see what you notice changes. See how you feel going into it. See how you handle it different. See the response that you get that is different, your level of output and everything else. And if that works for you, I'd love to hear what that changes for you. Or if you need help, I guess, working on changing that state, then drop a comment and I'll make some content about that, because this has been so highly valuable for me. I hope it helps you in the same way that it helps me. So hope that's helpful. Have an incredible day, my friends. Remember, don't be sorry, be better. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.